Kirtanaha Yasbhadrani Vinutoti Srichatam Yeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of God and Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, the super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Today's class is going to be on the second canto, 9th chapter, verse 18. See now.
The camera's working.
Thank you.
Thanks. Fall.
Tad Darshana Pariplutantaro
Tatkasana Lada, it says. Have you only said Darsana?
Is it okay?
Because when we were saying it, you were already doing the next.
Oh.
It just kind of got mixed up.
Okay,
I
try
didn't
it.
say it while we were saying
Oh, okay.
the first part.
Tadarshana lada pariplutantaro
Tadarshana Lada Paripurantaro Hirsyat Tanu Prema Parashu Lochanaha
Hirsyatanu Prema Parashu Lochana
Hirsyatanu Prema Parashu Lochanaha Nanama
Param Bhujam
Padambujam Asya Vishva Sri
Nanama Padambuj Asya Vishva
Nana Padambuja Asya Vishva Sri Yat
Paramahamshena Athadhigam Yate Yat Paramahamshena Athadhigam Yate
Yat Paramahamsena Pathadhinyam Yate
Darshana Halad Pariplu Kantaro
Tadarshana Lada Paripurantaro
Hirsyatanu Prema Parashu Lochanaha
Hirsyatanu Prema Parashu Lochanaha
Nanama Padambujam Asya Vishvasri
Nana Padambuja Asya Vishvasri
Yat Paramahamshena Pathadhigam Yate
Yat Paramahamsena Pathadhinyam Yate Tadarshana Lada Pariplutanataro
Tadarshana Lada Paripurantaro
Vishatanu Prema Parasuru Lochana
Vishatanu Prema Parasura
Nanama Padam Bujam Asya Vishvasri
Nanama Parambujamasya Vishvasri
Yat Paramahamsena Patadi Gamyate
Yad Paramahamsena Patyadi Gamyate. Okay. Taddarshanalada paripurantaro
Tadashana Paripurnatanataro
Vishatanu Prema Parasulochana
Vishatanu Prema Parasulochana
Nanama Parambujamasya Vishvasri
Namam Budam Budamasya Vishvasri
Yad Paramahamsena Patyadi Gamyate
Yat Paramahamsena Patadi Gamyate Taddarshana Latta Pariplutanataro Harishatanu Prema Parasulochana Nanam Padam Pujamasya Vishvasri
Yat Paramahamsa Yena Patadigamyate
Yat Paramahamsena Patadi Gamyate
Taddarshanalada pariplutanaro
Taddarshana Latta Pariplutanaro
Vishatanu Prema Parasulochana
Vishatanu Prema Parasulochana
Nama Padam Buja Asya Vishvasri
Namam Padam Puja Asya Vishvasri
Paramahamsena Patadi Gamyate
Yat Paramahamsena Patadi Gamyate
Word for word, please repeat. Pat,
Pat
by that audience of the Lord.
By the audience of the Lord
Darshana,
Darshana
audience. Ahlada, joy.
Joy
Paripluta,
Overwhelmed
Antara, within the heart.
Within the heart
Hirshyat, full in ecstasy. Tanu, body. Prema Bahara,
Prema Bahara
in full transcendental love.
In full transcendental love
Asru, tears. Lochanaha,
Lochanaha
in the eyes. Nanama,
Nanam
bow down. Padam Bhujam, under the lotus feet. Asya, of the Lord. Vishvasri, the creator of the universe. Yat, which. Paramahamshena, by the great liberated soul. Hatha, the path. Adhigamyate, this follows. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Lord Brahma, seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, became overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes became full with tears of love. He thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of highest perfection for the living being, the Paramahamsa. Please repeat. Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, became overwhelmed with joy in his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes became tears of love.
His eyes became full with tears of love.
He thus bowed down
He thus bowed down
before the Lord.
Before the Lord.
That is the way
That is the way
of highest perfection
of highest perfection
for the living being,
for the living being.
the Paramahamsa.
The Paramahamsa.
Now read it one more time. Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in his fullness, became overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes became full with tears of love, and he thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of the highest perfection for the living being, the Paramahamsa. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that this great literature is meant for the Paramahamsa. Ramnirvam Sharanam Satam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for such persons who are completely freed from malice. In the conditioned life, the malice life begins from the top, namely bearing malice against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Personality of Godhead is an established fact in all the revealed scriptures, and in the Bhagavad Gita, the personal feature of the Supreme Lord is especially mentioned, so much so that in the last portion of this great literature, it has been emphatically stressed that one should surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be saved from the miseries of life. Unfortunately, persons with impious backgrounds do not believe in the personality of Godhead, and everyone wants to become God himself without any qualification. This malice nature in the conditioned soul continues even up to the stage when a person wants to be one with the Lord, and thus even the greatest of the empiric philosophers, speculating on becoming one with the Lord, cannot become a Paramahamsa, because the malice mind is there. Therefore, the Paramahamsa stage of life can only be attained by those who are fixed in the practice of Bhakti Yoga. This Bhakti Yoga begins if a person has firm conviction that simply by discharging devotional service to the Lord in full transcendental love can elevate him to the highest perfectional stage of life. Brahmaji believed in this art of Bhakti Yoga. He believed in the words of the Lord to execute tapa, and he discharged the function with great penance, and thus achieved great success of seeing the Vaikuntha Lokas, and the Lord also by personal experience. No one can reach the abode of the Supreme Lord by any mechanical means of the mind or machine, but one can reach the abode of the Vaikuntha Lokas simply by following the process of Bhakti Yoga, because the Lord can be realized only through the Bhakti Yoga process. Lord Brahmaji was actually sitting on his lotus seat, and from there, by executing the process of Bhakti Yoga in great seriousness, he could see the Vaikuntha Lokas with all variegatedness, as well as the Lord in person and his associates. Following in the footsteps of Lord Brahma, any person, even up until this day, can attain the same perfection by following the path of the Paramahamsa. As recommended herein, Lord Chaitanya also approved of this method of self-realization for men in this age. One should first, with all conviction, believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, without making efforts to realize him by speculative knowledge. One should prefer to hear about him from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and later from the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. One should hear such discourses from a person, Bhagavatam, and not from a professional man, nor from any karmi, yani, or yogi. That is the secret of learning the science. One does not need to be in the renounced order of life. He can remain in his present condition of life, but he must search out the association of a bona fide devotee of the Lord, and hear from him the transcendental message of the Lord, with faith and conviction. That is the path of the Paramahamsa, recommended herein. Amongst various holy names of the Lord, he is also called Ajita, or one who can never be conquered by anyone. Yet he can be conquered by the Paramahamsa path, as it is practically realized and shown by the great spiritual master, Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma has personally recommended this Paramahamsa Pantha in his own words as follows. Lord Brahma says, O my Lord Krishna, a devotee who abandons the path of empiric philosophical speculation, aimed at becoming merged in the existence of the Supreme Lord, and engages himself in hearing new words and activities from a bona fide sadhu or a saint, and who lives an honest life in the occupational engagement of his social life, can conquer your sympathy and mercy, even though you are a jita, unconquerable by anyone. This can be found in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.3. That is the path of the Paramahamsas, which is personally followed by Lord Brahma, and later on recommended by him for attaining perfect success in life. And there's a lot going on in this purport. Srila Prabhupada has made a lot of wonderful points here. I'm going to try to go through each of them step by step. Now in this verse, and in the last few verses, we are seeing that Lord Brahma was actually able to see Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna also revealed to him his Vaikuntha feature and the Vaikuntha Lokas, the variegatedness of the spiritual world and its inhabitants. Now the reason he was given a chance to see Lord Krishna is because Lord Krishna was so very pleased with him because of his performance of tapa, the severe austerities and penances that Lord Brahma went through. Now in this verse, we can see that when Lord Brahma saw Lord Krishna, he became overwhelmed with joy and began shedding tears in full love of Godhead. Now Srila Prabhupada says in this purport that this is the highest perfection of life for a living entity, the culmination of bhakti yoga, the performance of our devotional service is to achieve what Lord Brahma achieved, and that is the ultimate goal of our lives, love of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada even mentions in this purport that we can actually achieve what Lord Brahma achieved. We can get darshan of Lord Krishna. I guess we chose to say it. That we can actually see the spiritual world, but we have to make ourselves qualified by following the line of these great Paramahamsas. We follow the Brahma Sampradaya. We need to follow in the footsteps of these great souls. It is said in the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam that this literature can only be understood by those who are pure in heart. And the next point that Srila Prabhupada mentions in this purport is that those who bear malice against the Lord can never, ever understand him.
Definition of malice, please.
I'm giving it now. The definition of malice, I looked it up, is the desire or intention to cause harm. So we bore malice against the Lord. And that really struck me. And then when I was making dinner for the deities the other day, Srila Prabhupada mentioned envy. And the definition of envy that Srila Prabhupada gave in that purport was the same as malice. The intention to cause harm against another living entity. So we often think of envy as just jealousy. But Srila Prabhupada said it's also the intention to cause harm. And that it starts with the Lord, and it just kind of trickles down from there. And we wind up here in this material world. And we can see in the material world, nearly everyone is malice against another. Everyone is envious of all the other living entities. So that's the reason that we're here. We hear over and over again that this material world is made for the rebellious living entity who needs to be corrected. It is made for those who wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna. Now in the spiritual world, they're all serving Lord Krishna in harmony. There is no expectation of some reward for serving Krishna there. Now, I also heard Srila Prabhupada say that one of the ways that there's proof that we're envious against the Lord, because you might say, I'm not envious against the Lord. I love the Lord. And we see all these people going to all these different churches and mosques and temples. Yet they go there with some ulterior motive. They go there to have their sins forgiven. They go there to ask for something. They go there for some relief from their miseries. They go there to ask of the Lord, give me something. Give me more material comforts. Make my life better. They do not go there with the intention of performing bhakti yoga, performing devotional service. I have heard Srila Prabhupada say we can gauge our lessening of this envy against the Lord by how much devotional service we perform, and how much devotional service we perform in pure love of Godhead. We do it for no gain. We do it simply to serve the Lord. And that's one way we can gauge how much our envy is lessening and lessening against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, let's see what's next.
Can I just make one thing?
Yes, please.
But it was interesting because just towards the end of the program yesterday, this young couple walked up. I was talking with the organic group, and they walked up, and the woman wanted to ask. Unfortunately, I had to get up. I heard the question.
Yesterday, right? Yesterday.
Yeah. Remember, you were standing
Yeah,
there. So she said, "How is it that when I'm in distress, it's I immediately I want to chant, I want to pray to God, to Krishna, and really get serious. As soon as the distress passes, I'm good. Yeah, I sort of put it over there on the shelf." And she didn't say those words, but that was what she was saying. So how do I keep that going? I heard you get to the beginning of his answer, but I thought, wow, that is beautiful. I mean, really, this woman she was a young girl. Do you know who she is?
Is that,
Niraj's friend, that one.
is that the one that's
Yeah.
Latino?
No, not that
No,
one.
they were Indian, I think.
Yeah, Indian.
And
It's the Niraj's friend. I don't know them very well, but I know that.
she had a small Tulsi thing, and he started to explain you have to practice, but that's like nail on the head on the neck. Damn, she's got it. I'm really serious when I'm in distress. As soon as the distress goes away, but I want to stay fixed. I want to stay focused, but I get distracted as soon as the distress goes away. And that's why you hear Queen Kunti praying.
Well, that's why it says it has to be 24 hours a day.
And that's what
7
he
days.
said. He was saying you have to practice, get up every day. And
We have to stay engaged.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
to
He
live
said,
a life
yeah.
of austerity.
He said this word, and I was like, why are you saying that? You should say this, and I walked away. He said voluntarily instead of telling austerity. These are austerities, that's what we are hearing. And then the Indian people will understand austerity than voluntary, Different people you have to speak differently.
I thought he handled it really well, but I was thinking what I would have said, wow, you got it. First I would have given us that is dead on, and talked about, I think he was, he was explaining, he explained meditation, getting up early in the morning, doing meditation like that, and this year, anyway, in this age, the meditation is not, mental, but it's sound vibration.
Yeah, she was so good. I walked away, I didn't know what happened after that.
Me too, I had to get up. But anyway, I just wanted to make that point,
Again, we cut the thought of
Sorry,
friends.
I hope I didn't affect your chain of thought.
This verse is about the Paramahamsas. The Paramahamsas, they are completely freed from malice and envy. They are fully pure in heart. The definition of a Paramahamsa is one who has no material desires. They are freed from the karma yajna, and they render service to the Lord favorably. They are firmly situated in devotional service, and they can understand the Lord, whereas others cannot. Now, I've read in the Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami says that people who are full of material desires, they can never relish devotional service. The same is for those who are wishing to become one with the Lord. Now we see any activity in this material world has some taste, has some enjoyment, or we wouldn't do it. But devotional service also has some rasa, some taste. It is said that even a tiny, tiny drop of devotional service is so sweet and relishable that liberation in comparison to it is absolutely incomparable. But like Srila Rupa Goswami says, Those who are haunted by material desires, they cannot enjoy this taste. They cannot relish it. The next point that Srila Prabhupada makes in this purport is that this malice behavior begins with us being envious of the Lord. It is said it starts at the top and trickles down. And of course the Paramahamsas are completely free from this. Srila Prabhupada says that by following the path of Bhakti Yoga with full conviction can help one become a Paramahamsa. The Chaitanya Charitamrita has a nice definition about faith. The process of Bhakti Yoga begins with faith. Shraddha. We must have faith. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives us this definition of faith. Faith, Shraddha, is confidence that by rendering transcendental loving service to Lord Krishna, one ultimately performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. Now we can see in the previous verses, Lord Brahma had this firm faith. He heard the instruction, tapa, tapa, and he sat down on that lotus flower and began to form his austerity and penances. He didn't try to continue to search out the answer. He knew that if I have this firm faith, if I carry out this instruction of my spiritual master, I will achieve perfection. We need this kind of faith at the beginning of our devotional service. We need this faith that if we follow this process of Bhakti Yoga, if we perform our devotional service, following in the line of the Parampara, following these great Paramahamsas, that we will ultimately achieve our success in life. And our success in this life is to achieve love of Godhead, is to achieve love of Lord Shri Krishna. And if we do so, if we please him in this way, it says in this purport, we can actually get darshan of Lord Krishna in this very life, in this very body. Srila Rupa Goswami says in the Nectar of Devotion that after developing this faith, it must be cultivated. You may ask, okay, how do I cultivate this faith? We cultivate it in the association of the devotees. Association is so important. I gave a class the other day about all the things that are favorable to our devotional service. He said we must have faith, we must have conviction, we must be determined, we must have patience, and also we must have the association of the devotees. We must take the association of these great literatures. We must avoid association with the non-devotees. It is said that the seed of devotional service gets planted in our hearts. Bhakti Lalavisha. Now there are so many ways that this can happen. We can receive a book. We can hear the holy names being chanted on Harinam. We may have the fortunate opportunity to receive prasadam. And that's why it's so important for us as devotees to preach any chance we get. That's why it's so important for us to go out on Harinam and sing the holy names of the Lord. That's why it's so important for us to distribute prasadam. It's to give these unfortunate living entities like ourselves a chance to come in contact with Lord Krishna. Because as we know, these books, like the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is Krishna himself. This is the literary incarnation of Lord Krishna. His holy names, this is Krishna himself, sound incarnated. We hear prasadam. Prasadam is Krishna. That's why we say we don't eat, we honor prasadam. It is said in the 7th canto, I just read the other day, the pastimes of Prahlad, that this material world is like a wheel, just rotating up and down. And we're being crushed by it. And the only way this wheel can be stopped is to come in contact with Lord Krishna or his devotees. And that's why I said about the books. That's how you come in contact with Lord Krishna. The books are him himself. The sound of Hare Krishna is Krishna himself. That's how our devotional service can begin. Now Srila Prabhupada says later on in this purport that one should hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from a Bhagavat, not a professional reciter. Now there are two types of Bhagavat, the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. Both are in relation to Shri Krishna. We can see that the Srimad Bhagavatam is nothing but the glorification of Lord Krishna and his devotees. The test of a Paramahamsa is they must live their life in line with the book Bhagavat. The person Bhagavat is the manifestation of the book Bhagavat. Both are in relation to Lord Krishna. Now the last point of this purport, there's a lot of points here Prabhupada made. I love his purports. You could just study one purport for months. There's just so much nectar in it. He says that one of the many, many names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Ajita, unconquerable. The Lord is very powerful, and we are very, very minute. We are easily influenced by the material energy. So no one, nothing can conquer Lord Krishna. But there is an exception to this rule. It is said that a pure devotee, by his practice of devotional service, can conquer the Lord. Now there's a beautiful example of this that I decided to take from the Krishna book, from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is Mother Yashoda. When Krishna was a small boy, he was very naughty, and he stole the butter. And his mother took up a stick and began to chase after him in the Loka Vrindavan. Now we hear that the sun orbits in its rotation in fear of Lord Krishna. The wind blows in fear of Lord Krishna. Death itself is fearful of Lord Krishna. But we see in this pastime that Lord Krishna was fearful of Mother Yashoda and her stick. She was able to conquer the Lord, not by her strength, not by her bodily endeavor, but by her love. Love, in the material world, there is a saying, love conquers all. But Lord Krishna is the all in all, and he is conquerable by our love for him. We can see that Lord Brahma saw the Vaikuntha feature of the Lord. He saw in the Vaikunthas, the Lord is worshipped with awe and reverence. Now in the Loka Vrindavan, there is hardly any trace of awe and reverence there. Even though Lord Krishna performs all these wonderful feats, they just see him as their little Krishna, killing all these demons like Putana, even when he was a small baby on the lap of his mother, lifting Govardhan Hill with the little finger of his left hand. They still think he is just their beloved little son, their beloved friend, their sweet love. It is explained that unless you're freed from this malice, unless you're pure in heart, unless you follow these Paramahamsas, you could read these pastimes about Krishna in the 10th canto over and over again, but you cannot understand them. You cannot understand how the Lord can become conquered by his devotees. You'll never understand it unless and until you surrender to Krishna's lotus feet and you get rid of all this malice and these sinful reactions. And you do that by surrender. Lord Krishna says in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse 66, just abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So that's what we must do. We must follow in the footsteps of great souls like Lord Brahma. And even today we can qualify ourselves to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can see the Paramahamsas are fully situated in devotional service. Their whole life is nothing but Krishna. In the Shishashtaka, Lord Chaitanya, he says, I think in the fourth one, O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want to have your causeless devotional service in my life, birth after birth. So, in fear of not repeating myself, I think I'll stop here. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Oh.
You gotta listen so that we can ask questions. Okay, Tika, go first.
One time, I used to, when I lived in New Orleans, my main service was collections for the temple. And, you know, it's not easy to go up to strangers and
It's
ask for money.
It's
And so, but we were doing
I
pretty
talked
well.
about it.
We started doing better and better and better. And so we were out there, we went to the French Quarter, that was our daily thing. And normally I was always doing quite well. And then there was this time, I don't know, a few weeks, I wasn't doing, I would compare myself with my friend who was also doing it. And, you know, our collections were usually pretty even. But for some reason, for some time, I wasn't getting the results. And I felt like I was surrendering. So I said, when my Guru Maharaj happened to be there, this is probably like 82, no, 83, 84, something like that. And I said, Guru Maharaj, I feel so bad because I'm doing everything. And I said, I feel like I'm surrendering. And he said, you should never say or think that you're surrendering. You know, and I realized that that's true. Like, just like a person, if they're humble, they never think, I'm so humble.
Right.
Or if a person's surrendering, they don't think, oh, I'm so surrendered, because there's more you can do, or there's more you can change in how you think. It's not that we're, you know, just because we try, that means we're all of a sudden surrendered. So it will happen, and we will get it, but it's not just a thing like, okay, everyone, Krishna says surrender, and well, surrender is a process. So yeah,
It's how you live your life every
if you're
day.
trying to devote yourself to Krishna, then you are surrendering, but it's just the attitude of it. You know, like you should do your
24-hour day
best.
process also.
Yes, you should do your best
Yeah.
in that. And that service isn't just, oh, I have to do the Giwicks, you know, or I have to dress the deities, then I go home and not do anything. But you're still serving. If you're serving the devotees, you're serving your husband, you know, he has to eat, you know, we're not eating at the temple, that's also service. Because we don't take prasadam at the temple. So I am doing service when I'm, you know, cooking for devotee, cooking for ourselves, and offering it to the Lord. So, I mean, you can't just think, oh, just the temple devotees are doing service and everyone else isn't.
No, it's
You
a
know.
process all day long. When you're chanting your rounds, you're doing service.
But
You're
it's
thinking
true, you know,
Krishna.
some people appear to be, you know, some people just appear that they are there, and then they are doing a lot, you know. So that's great. It's just that he told me, and that was way back then, I was still a new devotee, and he told me, you shouldn't think you're surrendered.
Oh, never.
Yeah.
It's a process.
So I thought that was really pretty special that he told me that.
Yes.
I have a lot to say, but I'll cut it short.
Go ahead.
I just heard a few days ago, and I don't pay attention in class for so many years, you know. Now I'm trying to go back. Someone said by just eating prasadam and chanting Hare Krishna, that's devotional service. So I wish I had had that 40 years ago. I would have just done that and nothing else. You know, some people do that. We have some devotees who do that. Oh, I'm chanting, I'm always chanting. You know. And then you see the prasadam, okay, I'm eating, that's it. These are little animals telling eating prasadam and only chanting is devotional
I think
service.
Srila Prabhupada said,
Yeah,
chant
that's
prasadam.
true. Someone said you eat 40 years or 30 years of prasadam alone, you go back to Kavya. Just that, you don't need anything else, only prasadam. And another thing, you talked about this malice, you know, you hear this word a lot, and sometimes you can see this among the devotees too, you know. They get envious or they get upset. How do you rectify this? How do you understand how to deal with it? You know? We know it when it's happening, but how you deal with it? Because we're still humans, you know?
That's a good question. We just can't develop any malice ourselves.
Yeah, I don't want to do the same thing, you know?
I would say
How do you deal with
just
it?
kind of avoid that person's association, because if you've tried and they keep on keeping on with that, you just try to, associate with the ones that aren't like that.
Yeah. We have
Like-minded
a
people, we hear that a
situation
lot,
that goes on for
like-minded
so many
people.
years, that we try so many years. You know what I'm talking about. And it's just so hard no matter what we try, So,
We don't want to be offensive.
yeah, we don't want to do that, so it's
It's a
difficult.
tricky little.
For years and years we've been dealing with that, so it's difficult how, it's easy to get angry and lose your brain and then just say something else and then you're sorry next minute, At the same time, you want to do the same thing to that person. I've heard about this avoiding thing, but that too doesn't sound really good,
Well, even our Guru Maharaj said that, someone asked that question,
Yeah.
and
I
he
think so.
said, just, you're in charge of your development, and if you feel that that is there, and you've tried, to serve them, whatever, and if it's not working, you have to, everyone can't be your best friend. You have to go.
You have to
into
know
people.
it's coming, you have to expect it, and just do your best to avoid it.
You
know
be
they're gonna
happy,
hate this
be
way.
happy in your service, and try to work on yourself, and let Krishna take care of that.
That's all you can do. All right, Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, brothers.
Thank you.
This laundry mat over here, I can't stand it. I don't know what's happening here. It's piling up, this laundry here.
I think it's just going to thin.
I know, but no one will put it in.